All right, well, welcome to the August office meeting. I hope y'all had a great summer. I don't know about you guys, but I'm really sick of sweating. I'm really tired of it. And I thought, in light of everything that's going on, I just thought this was really funny. So I put it in here that summer isn't over until September 22nd. So sit your pumpkin spice asses down. I'm not finished with my margarita yet. That just cracked me up.
I love it.
I'm a huge fall fan for those that don't know. Like I love Halloween, Christmas, like is my favorite season. So I'm like was just telling my husband like a couple weeks ago, I'm like, one more month and I can start putting up the Halloween decorations. So I'm like ready for my pumpkin spice. I'm so over being sweaty and miserable and I just thought that was funny in spite of everything going on. So we could have a little laugh. Um, so then I just wanted to say happy birthday to our August birthdays. We got Brian Clemens, Candace O'Garo, Joanne Abney, and June Corrado, and Patricia Cremona, Pre Powers, and Scott Thompson. Now, Scott tells me he's having a rager for his birthday, and we're all invited. So he's supposed to be sending us out that info. Scott, are you on here?
Yeah, just keep waiting for it.
Come on now. We want our e-fight. We're all going to show up at your house. If you don't tell us when, we'll just pick a date.
Show up. You wouldn't like my party. I don't drink.
Well, we'll bring our own booze. It's a
Yeah, that's
BYOB
it.
party.
There you go.
I'm just teasing. Scott's not really having a party. I wanted to let you guys know in case you did not know this. There's been a change with ADRE in the continuing education requirement. So starting after January 1, 2025, you guys will need to complete 1 hour of each of the following general continuing education hours: deed fraud, water, and fire. So what I've seen, the CE companies are basically making I'm sure they'll have some general 1 hour ones as well, but I've seen them like combine all three into a 3 hour general class that covers all three. So no big deal. It's just literally like one of your general continuing education 3 hour that you need will specifically have to be an hour of each one of these topics.
Hey Lisa, I had a question
Yeah.
on that.
Yeah.
Does it matter which, because I have to renew my license by April, does it matter which like continuing education classes we take, or as long as we take it, we're fine? I just didn't know if there was like a brokerage rule on that one.
No, just as long as you take accredited ones, that are certified so that ADRE will approve them, they have to have the number. So if any of the schools
Okay.
is,
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
yeah.
Lisa,
One like,
Lisa, one
oh,
more thing. So mine is due to renew in January. Does that mean I have to complete that by then?
if you renew after January 1st, you have to have those. So
Okay.
you might want to finish in December and get your renewal done.
Ah,
Or
yeah.
just take them. Either way.
Yeah, I haven't seen any yet, so I'm keeping my eye out.
Yeah, and why I'm on that topic, I got something from the board, and this is the ethics code year, I guess. And so many of you need to complete your ethics class requirement that they require. And I can send out, I was trying the best way to do it. There's so many people on the list that I'm like, if I have to email each one of you individually, that's going to take forever. Or I can just email out the list to the office and you can see if you're on it needing to complete it or not. So anyway, I'll figure that out. But it's a ethics um year where you got to complete that for the board, in case you didn't know. Any questions on that? Okay. All right, so Mara and I created a new email, broker support at blissrealtyaz.com, and it goes to both of us. So if you guys have any questions, you can email it. It comes to both Mara and I so that kind of I have help in that and she has help so that we can tag team it and get back to you guys. So just wanted to make you aware. I think she sent out an email too, but wanted to make you guys aware of that. Okay, so as we said, things are changing ever so quickly and constantly evolving with all of this. So ADRE has now put in their 2 cents on this whole thing. So, you know, the whole buyer broker agreement is not required per ADRE. It's not law. It is not Arizona state law. It was not signed into law. It is a rule if you belong to MLS that you must have a buyer broker agreement to show property. So, but ADRE has now weighed in and said that all buyer broker agreements must be turned in and reviewed by the broker and kept on file for 5 years. So when we told you guys that we didn't need to see them unless your buyer actually bought, then turn it in and with your file like you would normally do, now you have to upload them all. Yay. I know you're all so excited about that. So they have to be uploaded. Sweet Assist is working on possible ways to somehow make it easier, but as of right now, you would just create a buyer purchase file. You obviously aren't going to know the address. You can put to be determined. You can put the buyer's name in there and just upload the buyer broker agreement in the allotted spot of a purchase agreement checklist. I'll approve it. It will set there till you add the rest of your purchase docs and or if your buyer goes away, please let me know so I can cancel the file. Otherwise, it's going to set forever in your list of transactions as an active file. So that is the new rule. You now have to turn them all in and upload them and have them approved. So same rules as always for executed docs. Office policy is 5 days. Within 5 days of execution, they must be uploaded for review to allow me time to review them so we can stay compliant. And then I also wanted to make it clear on open houses for other brokerages. We have allowed that in the past. I don't know that we've had a ton of people do, you know, open houses for someone who maybe has a listing at EXP, but you're a Bliss agent. ADRE has always frowned on this, but we were allowed to do it. But with the new rules, I just wanted to make it clear, if you do an open house for a listing at a different brokerage that is not Bliss, any buyers, anybody that wants to walk through that house, that listing, because it is not your listing, has to sign a showing agreement before they enter the property. So, because your whole goal is being there to pick up buyers. You don't represent that seller, so you need to have them sign a showing agreement with the new rules if you were doing an open house at some other brokerage's listing. I know there's stuff in the chat, so let me pull it up here so I can see. Okay, I will send out the full list for the ethics. Who needs that? Nicole, no, you don't need to upload it prior to showing. I don't have to sign off on it. I just have to sign off on it within 5 days of execution. So 5 days of your buyer signing that buyer broker agreement, it needs to be loaded for review. Oh, and I think Mara answered that. Okay, I just want to make sure I didn't miss anyone's questions. Oop, I'm making my screens change. Okay, well, anyways, I was ready to move on. All right, so with all these changes going on, the biggest thing that keeps coming up as a big red flag, it was huge when I was on a call with our Bliss attorney, is that dual agency is going to become a huge lawsuit. It's just with all these new rules and the potential for way more dual agency, et cetera. So we are going to be updating our policies and procedure manuals going forward that dual agency will only be allowed under the Bliss roof with 2 Bliss agents. So one different agent representing the seller and a different Bliss agent representing the buyer. We will no longer be allowing agents to represent both the buyer and the seller themselves. We feel it is in your guys' best interest and Bliss's to keep costs down and not endure a bunch of lawsuits with this. We don't do a lot of dual agency anyways, but we just think it's best to protect you guys with everything that's going on. It's just going to be too easy for there to be lawsuits. And a lot of brokerages don't even allow dual agency before this. So like I said, if it's, if it's Kim and Terry, one's got the buyer, one's got the seller, that's fine. Two different agents under the Bliss roof is fine for dual agency, but you can no longer represent both the buyer and seller on your own deals. And
But unrepresented buyer is okay?
yes,
The right documents?
yes.
Okay, thank you. And also, I love your.
While not preferred, because again, I think it still opens you up for a lawsuit.
Absolutely.
But if they absolutely will not agree to work with an agent to represent them, it is what it is. If we sign the right documents, we'll be covered, which would be the unrepresented buyer disclosure and them signing agency that they understand you represent the seller. So that's two different documents that you do not represent them.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I had a question on that as well. So do you think that we're going to see more buyers not want to be represented since the commission change it's not really a change, but since the commission rollout and now, do you think that we're going to see more buyers that don't want to be represented because they don't want to pay the fees?
I think that it's very likely. I don't have a crystal ball, but I do think it's very likely. And I think
Okay, and then how would you handle, how would we, like, obviously we can't steer them, but how would we tell them, like, in your best interest, it's good to get a real estate agent, like I have recommendations, like, is that something that we say, or how does that work?
you can absolutely recommend that it would be in their best interest to have representation, and you can refer and I would refer them more than one so they can call. I mean, obviously they're going to be employing them to help them. They need to pick the right one for them. But if they want recommendations, you can absolutely make recommendations for agents for them to work with.
Lisa,
Yeah.
does that unrepresented buyer form also apply to rentals, or do I just need to continue with my read the way I've been doing it?
You would just continue with your read the way you're doing it, but at the same time, we didn't have this form and now it's new. I have see, even I, like, with all the changes, even we haven't thought through everything, right? Like, it's constantly changing. Even the attorneys are like changing their mind and doing flip-flops on things from what they thought originally. So like, just bear with all of us as we're, adapting to these new changes. But I would say, actually, since they've now created the form, I would use it as well, because it just provides you more protection. It's protecting you.
Okay, thanks, Lisa.
Yeah.
Lisa, I have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
I have never worked with a buyer who is unrepresented. Like, how much are we supposed to be doing so we write the contract for them? Like, how much are we supposed to serve them, being that we're not representing them?
Well, you have a fiduciary duty to them. So you need to read that unrepresented buyer disclosure to do fair dealings and fiduciary duty. You're basically doing it all for them because they don't know. You've got to write the contract. They still need to sign all the advisories because they need to be aware, and that protects you as well, that they've been disclosed all that information. So it's basically the same as dual agency, but you do not represent them. You do not give them advice. You do all the paperwork, but you're not like giving advice. You're not telling them things. You're not recommending things. You stay in your lane. And if they ask a question, you can certainly answer it to the best of your ability, but you also can't answer something that would hurt your client. Unless it's a disclosure issue that you need to disclose, obviously.
What about inspections? How does that work? You just let them know to have inspections done and you can give them recommendations, or you give them names of, several inspection companies and have them do it all themselves and then get the report themselves and all that?
I mean, that's what I would do. I would recommend several inspection companies. You need to make sure they've read the contract and they understand their inspection period. But yeah, it'd be up to them to schedule it and check with you on getting in there with the inspector and all that. And, unfortunately, they don't know what they're doing. So this is why they should have representation, because they don't know how to write up a Benzer. So they're going to have to email you what they want on it, and you write it up and then tell your seller. You can't give advice one way or the other. You just do as you're directed because you don't work for them.
So basically, Lisa, you just make sure that they've read the contract and they understand the timelines, or you don't really discuss it. You just give them the contract and it's up to them.
Well, I would make sure that they have read it because you don't want to get sued. And this is why you don't really want to do unrepresented buyer.
I agree. Yes. But I'm just trying to figure out if someone's forcing your hand to it, do you make mention, hey, don't forget to read the part about your inspection period and understand what that is?
Yeah, I would tell them.
Okay.
I would lay out like the key components, timelines. There's certain key timelines of a purchase contract, and make sure that they are aware and they've read it and they understand it.
Is it okay to refuse to work with a buyer who is unrepresented and say you have to have representation because I'm going to end up doing all the work and I'm not going to get paid for it? The only difference is I'm not giving you advice, but at the end, I'm doing all of it, but I'm not getting paid to be working with a buyer as well.
Well, in your listing agreement, you have the option that the owner's going to pay you more money for working with an unrepresented buyer.
Okay. All right.
It could also be up to the seller if they don't want any unrepresented buyers. I mean, it could be written in there, but then you're walking a fine line of them coming at you for fair housing. That's why this is so messy now, guys. This is why it's a hot mess, right?
It really is. It is a hot mess.
And
So
guys, we appreciate Lisa. She's trying to update us. And guys, it's going to be changing. By next week, we could have something else. So we would rather have these discussions. Lisa, as the broker, has got to disclose and things that we're trying to decide to protect you, right? A lot of agents don't think, oh, today I'm going to get into a lawsuit. That is my goal, right? So we're trying to think of ahead, and Lisa's on a lot of the broker calls with the attorneys of, hey, these are situations we're going to see coming, or we're trying to also say, hey, guys, with these changes in the forms, it's going to bring out even more lawsuits. So we're just going to keep you guys informed as things happen. And now with the new listing paperwork, you are having that discussion with the owner of, hey, yes, you can change your commission structure. You don't have to offer compensation. We could get a buyer that comes in without their own agent. And these are different situations that we have to discuss in order to fill out the listing agreement, correct? So, and there's also addendums to the contract. So yeah.
yeah. So, I mean, but I would highly recommend to any buyer that doesn't have representation to get it, or they need to hire an attorney to consult with, because they don't, like, you can totally tell them, like, you don't understand the rules. You really need someone to look out for you. You really need to make sure you're protected. You can tell the buyer that they, and if they still choose not to do it, at least you've told them that. I would even follow up, like, if you told them that verbally in an email, so it's in writing, to reiterate our conversation. Plus, they've signed the unrepresented buyer disclosure. Plus, they've signed the agency that you only represent the seller. I mean, you can't stop anyone from filing a lawsuit against you, but at least you did everything possible to protect yourself. Even if they file a lawsuit, they're probably not going to win because you did all those things. You tried, you encouraged them to get representation. I don't think we're going to see a lot of that, because I think very quickly most buyers realize they can't do this on their own. So unless they have some kind of knowledge or experience, or our attorneys, like, they're not gonna know how to do this. And I think most of them will realize that quickly. So I don't think you're gonna have to worry about it that much. So don't stress about it.
Lisa,
Mm-hmm.
so we would prepare the Binzer for them then and have them sign it?
Yeah.
That was it. Okay. And also, how about the final walkthrough?
Yep.
Scary.
You would meet them there and let them walk. I mean, you're not going to tell them what to do. You're going to write on the Binzer whatever you are directed to write on that Binzer.
Right.
And then you're going to give it to your seller. And then you can give your seller advice on how you should respond. You can't give the buyer any advice.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so there was, to be exact, 6 new forms they came out with. We did discuss like all the buyer broker agreement ones on Monday in class, so I'm not gonna like beat a dead horse on a lot of this. But you've got the tenant broker exclusive employment agreement. Now that one they did separately because actually the rentals don't apply to the lawsuit, but they wanted to make forms uniform like across the board. So everything's the same, but you will find, I just wanted to point out on that tenant broker one, that whatever amount you write in there, it also has verbiage that says, or whatever's higher if landlord broker's hiring a higher compensation. So you don't have to worry about it. You could put $1 in there. You could put 0, and then you just collect whatever the listing agent is offering. It's already spelled out that you can take the higher amount, whatever that is. Just know that if they're not offering anything, like if you don't find out before and then you have 0 in there, then you're not going to get paid, because you would need to check that commission, obviously, with the listing agreement beforehand. Which, guys, I have been out showing property and I have not had a problem with listing agents communicating to me what it is and how they prefer to work that out, whether they want a cab or the seller compensation addendum. And it goes both ways. So like briefly we discussed in the class, I'm not going to beat a dead horse, but we are told that cab agreement's probably going to go away because it should be all out in the open and transparent to everybody who's getting paid what. And then when you do that cab agreement, it's not. But some brokers right now are requiring it over others. I've seen it both ways already. And some people want the compensation addendum. Doesn't matter. Just know that it's probably going away. So I would use the seller compensation addendum as your preferred method, but do whatever the listing broker wants. Just, you don't want to hinder your buyer. So whatever it takes to get the deal done, just ask them what they want. It's easy peasy and they're happy to tell you. So, and then you've got the buyer broker agreement to show property, which is essentially like the EA of buyer broker agreements. It is not an exclusive agreement. So that one, if you use that, they could sign a whole bunch of different ones of those with different agents, and whoever writes the contract is the one that gets the money. There is no procuring cause. They can sign as many as they want if they're not doing the exclusive agreement. So just know that. Because you've got the, they've created the buyer tenant employment agreement addendum. So just like the listing agreement has a listing addendum, now there's addendum to the buyer tenant employment agreement that it's spelled out for you. It makes it really easy to make changes when you need to change compensation or whatever else have you. Just I will reiterate again, legally, you can change the compensation to go up, but for whatever reason, our attorneys are saying don't do that. They're frowning upon it. They said it's much better to change it to go down. It's not illegal to change it to go up, but they're like, that's kind of, I think that could change too. You might not be able to do that after a while because they are highly stressing, go down, not up, if you're changing it. So just know that. The other new agreement, which we've already discussed, is the unrepresented buyer disclosure, which really spells out to the buyer very, very clearly what duties you owe them if you're not representing them and how that's going to work. So I suggest reading it, be familiar with it. Hopefully it doesn't come up a lot. And we just talked about the cab and then the seller compensation addendum. So those are the 6 actual brand new forms that they've created. And then they modified 13 of the forms to fit. So they obviously had to update the agency forms. They updated the ER and EA listing agreement. The listing agreement addendum they updated. Now it's a lot more specific. It used to be a blank page and you kind of just write whatever, but now they've really put some verbiage in there for canceling, changing things. It actually makes it a lot easier for you guys. So it's kind of great. And you can write whatever you need to do to alter your listing agreement. So if you need to change anything, it's there for you. And of course, obviously the original buyer broker exclusive agreement is massively been updated because it's like 3 pages now, 4 pages now, or it used to be 2. So it's got a lot more verbiage explaining things to buyers about what's going on, et cetera, et cetera. Now the land and the leases and the commercial are not part of the lawsuit. However, they went to keep it universal across the board. They updated all of those listing agreements and the lease agreement and the property management agreement. They changed all the wording. So just all the different listing agreements across the board, everything's universal. So just know that it's not a big deal, just making everything seamless. Okay, so I did want to talk to you guys specifically though about the ER listing agreement. It would be the same on the EA as far as compensation, because I'm already seeing people filling it out wrong. So I wanted to point out, like on lines 46 through 47, that amount is what the seller is going to pay you as the listing agent to sell the property. Just you, just the listing agent. The way the listing agreement was before, you would write in, if it was a total of 6%, you would write 6% and then 3% to the buyer agent. But now it's not the total amount on that line. Now it needs to be spelled out and very specific. So on line 46, it's what they're paying you as the listing agent. And then on lines 48 through 49 is additional compensation if they are going to pay you more if you end up having an unrepresented buyer. So you need to have that conversation with them about that and whatever it is that you decide, like that you're willing to do, if that is the scenario and if they're willing to do that. One question that was brought up earlier today was what if, well, let me get to it. When we get to lines 50 and 51, that's where you're writing in, if they're willing to give compensation to a buyer agent, then you write in that specific amount there. What was brought up was what if they're willing to entertain it, but they don't want to like say, definitely, I will pay this amount to a buyer agent. So in that case, you would leave that blank, but you would write in the additional comments section exactly like what they want, what you're being directed to do. So you would just document in the additional comments part of the listing agreement in that section that seller is willing to entertain paying a buyer broker depending on offer and wants it all to be negotiated or whatever it is that they direct you that they're willing to do. So if they're not willing to give you an exact amount or totally just say, yes, I will pay 2% no matter what, and they want to just wait and see if the offer is and negotiate it out, that's how you would handle that. Okay. I know we had told you before, like Sweet Assist, they're working on some things. They made some changes to the checklist and then it kind of messed up the flow. So, and you guys have done great about all that. But the main thing I wanted to tell you guys is I haven't gotten to putting in these new docs in the checklist. I am trying to get to it. It's not easy. I will say the one thing with Sweet Assist, and they know this, they're actually trying to make their checklist easier to edit because they are so not easy. And it takes a lot of time and you see how it messes up the flow and one checklist affects the other one. They're aware of this, they're working on it. However, I have not gotten to putting in the new documents tabs, placeholders for you guys yet. And a lot of you have done exactly what I'm telling you to do now. And some of you have asked and then done it. So you can scroll down to the bottom of that documents list and click create custom document, and you can create your own placeholder for that seller compensation addendum or CAB or whatever it is. And that's okay. That's what you need to do until I can get in there. I'm hopeful to get in there this weekend and get those document placeholders put in there. But I've been trying for a couple weeks now with being sick and then all the changes. But I promise you I am getting to it. So thank you for your patience. And that's what you would do to get placeholders to put those docs in there. So the interesting thing about this, I thought you guys might be interested to know that some of the smaller MLSs are talking about merging with Armless, with our big Phoenix one. Multiple ones have been talking about it. The one I'm seeing the most stuff about is Prescott right now. It really looks like it's probably going to happen. So I think that's actually exciting because you don't have to join the different boards in order to get their MLS. We're going to be one big MLS with some of them. I mean, some aren't gonna, but some are. And so I think that'll be super helpful across the board to be able to see more listings without having to pay all this money to join other boards in order to see the MLS listings. So hopefully with one going, more will follow. So I think that'll actually be a really good thing that's coming out of all of this, because I think the reason they're entertaining it is like they're just smaller, right? And the liability now, because if anyone breaks the rules, like if we break the rules and get caught, then you could get kicked out. You could have and then you will no longer be protected under the lawsuit. So then someone could come sue you if they find out. Like it's a whole thing. So I think that's why they're thinking of merging, because then it's just bigger, deeper pockets, right? To help protect each other. So, and also too, I know that you guys, like we have different agents with different boards. All the boards are different. All the MLSs have different rules, fines, etc. for breaking the rules. But I will say across the board, all of them are really stiff, you guys. So if you haven't read or know what your MLS is doing, you need to be aware of these fines because there's no warning. If you get caught, no warning, and you're like hit with $1,000 fine. I've seen $5,000 fines. They're not giving you a warning. So if you haven't read what they're telling you, just be aware of that. You need to look into your MLS and what their rules are. Okay. Well, before I get into like classes coming up, does anyone have questions about anything? I know there's a lot of new stuff, a lot of thoughts. Okay.
I'll chime in, Lisa. I know I believe that the more information we get out, we feel confident. Even though change is scary, what does it look like? I personally am not in the agent forums and don't listen to that stuff. So that's why we created the broker support email. If you guys have questions or just concerns you need to vent, shoot an email, right? We'll respond. We'll respond or schedule time and talk with me. I was on a mastermind for an hour with independently owned brokerages around the US. And Sweet Assist is fantastic. I have to say, the owner he owns his own brokerage of 800 agents in California. So I know sometimes it feels like, hey, we're going through this. I feel alone. What about my business? But everyone around the US is going through these changes. And as brokerages, they're trying to figure out how to handle the changes, how to get ahead of it, and how to keep your business flowing. And I've got to say, agents are working. If you're having a rough day, go hit a punching bag, or hiking will be coming up soon. So take a couple hours, take a break, and then tomorrow's a new day. But guys, real estate is still happening. So just don't let the changes get you down. Don't let it affect you. The interest rates are coming down. Get ready. Buyers are going to be going out. So work on your buyer presentation, work on your buyer videos, your academies, and set yourself apart from the other agents, right? You're not going to land every client, just like you didn't land every listing. It's okay. Just keep filling your pipeline up, right? There's it's People are still buying real estate, and a lot of them want to use realtors. So I just wanted to say that, because even I feel sometimes overwhelmed, or I'm like uncertain, and I'm like, I gotta have my freak out. So just say, stay positive if you can, reach out if you need to vent. That's what we're here for, okay?
Yeah.
Sound good?
And overall, guys, like I said, I mean, for you newbies, like this is all you know. So that's great. And for us old dogs, you can teach us tricks. It just takes us longer. I mean, it's weird for us too. Like Mara and I were saying, like, I feel like in my head I know what I want to say, but I've had to explain the buyer broker agreement, and it's uncomfortable. I'm not used to it yet. Like I'm also having to adapt and figure it out. So it doesn't, like, we're all in the same boat, and probably us old dogs, it's even worse because we're so used to doing it a different way for so long. But like I said, everybody I have had to talk to has been great. The listing agents are responsive. Everyone wants to work together and make it as simple as possible. I'm not having any issues with doing offers and stuff with people and the other agents. It's been pretty streamlined. So I think we're all in the same
Correct.
boat. Even the other agents you're trying to
Yeah.
work with on a house, like everyone's in the same boat, and I think everyone wants to help each other and just
Yeah.
communicate. It's what I'm experiencing. I'm sure you will find a jerk here or there, but overall, I haven't seen any of that. It's been really a fine experience. So don't let it get you down. So we have Instagram basics coming up August 15th at 11 a.m. So if you guys are not really sure about Instagram, you're a newbie to it, this will take you kind of back to the classics, basics, and help you get set up and getting your reels out there and whatever else. I can truly say I don't understand Instagram that much. So that'll be a good class. August 22nd, we're having a residential home inspection with class with Brian Lang. So he's going to be going over home inspections and what they look for and certain things they see pop up and things that you should probably know as an agent with home inspections. Oh, there it is. That's weird. Okay. Commercial meeting will be August 27th, 10 a.m. via Zoom. We're going to actually have Brian go over commercial inspections for the meeting. So we're going to be talking about commercial real estate and inspections for the commercial meeting. We're going to have a follow-up class to the first Instagram one. This will be the follow-up, learning the algorithm to help you maximize the amount of eyes on your content. So this will be the second one following up. It'll also be via Zoom, 11 a.m. August 29th. We do have a happy hour coming up, August 22nd. It is at the Night Owl. It's off of Scottsdale and so it's in South Scottsdale, McDowell and Hayden, 4 to 6. We're supposed to be getting a flyer, but we haven't quite got it yet. But I think that's pretty much the info. Next office meeting will be September 12th at 1. It's always the second Thursday of the month, unless we tell you guys otherwise. And then without further ado, we have August recognition for awards. Yay!
Yay!
Like I will say, typically July is a super slow month. Like historically, it's just slow because everyone's on vacation, you know, school, like they're doing those last minute vacations, school starting up. But we had a killer July and a killer, like you guys are working. I'm seeing it. So like the market is good. And so we have a lot of people to celebrate because you guys are really getting out there and working hard. Our agent of the month for August is Denny Taylor. want to celebrate him. He has been working his sphere and he's got a couple contracts going now after just getting into things and getting stuff started. So we just wanted to recognize him. Our President's Award goes to Tammy Chapman. We wanted to recognize her. She just recently joined Bliss, but she's like growing a team already. She's added to her team. She's got multiple transactions going. She's out in her community. And we just wanted to recognize her for that. And then we've got Sherry Bailey for Community Engagement Award. She's been getting out there, meeting her community, doing stuff with the community, setting up networking meetings, and just trying to work her sphere and get to know people and build her business. So we wanted to recognize her for that. Most listings secured goes to Lisa. She's already got several transactions going and already has both a couple of her listings already under contract. So way to go, Lisa. We wanted to recognize Susan for her above and beyond service. She has been super helpful helping other agents when they've needed it on their transactions. She's always there to pitch in. She's been working her leads. She's just out there. She's always willing to help you guys. Her leads are going well, and we just really wanted to recognize her for her service and help to everyone. So thank you, Susan. Closing Excellence Award goes to Deborah. She's got one closed, another one under contract, and she's just zipping them out. So we wanted to recognize her for getting all those closings. Krista Cathy gets the Market Resilience Award. She's already closed one. She's got a listing coming up. She's got a buyer who just went under contract. So the market's good. She's working it. She's out there and getting it done. The Rising Star Award goes to Kat. She's got a listing coming up. She's been in the coaching program for a while, and it's starting to take off for her and her listings coming up, and we just wanted to recognize her for that. Client satisfaction goes to Melissa Castro. She's got a listing and she's working with a couple buyers. She's got actually a commercial deal she's working on. So congrats, Melissa. And that's it. That's what I have. That's what I have for today.
Yay! It's awesome, I think.
Yeah, I think in general, things are really good, guys. I know it feels weird with the changes, but I think you guys are all doing fantastic and we have a lot to celebrate and keep working away. So I don't know if Mara has anything else she wants to say or add before we end, but.
No, congrats. Thanks, Lisa, for doing, for making this and keeping us updated. I know it's hard. Lisa had the COVID.
Well, I think I did. I never.
I'm pretty sure you did, but yeah.
I had no voice, guys, for like a week and my brain didn't work. I was like, don't ask me a question because I don't have an answer. It would take
so we're
me
glad you're back.
Long to do anything. And I was like, it was terrible. I was like, for 3 weeks, I was like barely functioning. So I'm much better now though. This week's better, but now I'm playing catch up and then we had all the changes hit. So it's been a little bit nutty, but so
cool. Well, I know we're working on some service projects, so those will be announced soon. And then we have other happy hours being planned. So yeah, exciting times.
All right. Well, have a fantastic rest of your week and we'll see you all soon. And if you have questions, we're here.
Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you, ladies.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.